Feast of the Transfiguration. On August 6, the Church celebrates the Feast of the Transfiguration. This feast commemorates one of the pinnacles of Jesus' earthly life. He revealed his divinity to 3 of his closest disciples through a miraculous supernatural light. All 3 synoptic Gospels tell the story of the Transfiguration. Matthew 17 verses 1 to 8, Mark 9 verses 2 to 9, and Luke 9 verses 28 to 36. Tradition names Mount Tabor as the site of the revelation. A church first raised there in the 4th century was dedicated on August 6. Matthew 17:1 to 8 tells about the transfiguration of Jesus. After 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter, James, and John, the brother of James, and led them up to a high mountain by themselves. There he was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became as white as the light. Just then there appeared before them Moses and Elijah talking with Jesus. Peter said to Jesus, "Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, I will put up 3 shelters, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." While he was still speaking, a bright cloud covered them, and a voice from the cloud said, "This is my Son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased. Listen to him." When the disciples heard this, they fell face down to the ground, terrified. But Jesus came and touched them. "Get up," he said. "Don't be afraid." When they looked up, they saw no one except Jesus. According to Reverend Monsignor Bandas, in the Transfiguration, Christ enjoyed for a short while that glorified state which was to be permanently his after his resurrection on Easter Sunday. The splendor of his inward divinity and of the beatific vision of his soul overflowed on his body and permeated his garments to that Christ stood before Peter, James, and John in a snow-white brightness. The purpose of the Transfiguration was to encourage and strengthen the apostles who were depressed by their Master's prediction of his own passion and death. The apostles were made to understand that his redeeming work has 2 faces, the cross and glory, that we shall be glorified with him only if we first suffer with him. Christians of the Eastern Christian Church, Catholic and Orthodox, not only celebrate the importance of this feast liturgically, but they have held on to the ancient Christian understanding of its significance in our own lives. This is an extraordinary feast of hope which can help us to live differently. We are invited, by reflecting on this event in the life and ministry of Jesus Christ, to focus us on the end of the Christian life. End in the philosophical and theological sense means purpose or goal. We will all be fully transfigured as the Lord himself was transfigured when our redemption is complete in the resurrection of the body. Then We will live in the new heaven and new earth. This reality is meant to affect the way we live our lives, beginning right now. From the earliest centuries, the Christian Church emphasized the centrality of the transfiguration of the Lord. Our experience of our life in the Lord and His Church is only the beginning of what is to come in the kingdom. Our life is already a participation in that new reality, beginning right now.